welcome to week 3 of therapeutic fasting on our 5-week project here. And welcome to Lindy and Alexis. And we're about to share what happened with one-day fasting over the last week. So who would like to go first?
Well, I can. Oh, go. You go, Alexis.
Go, Alexis.
I'll put the video on because I don't like talking as if I'm faceless. It feels weird. Yeah, I went really good. The week was busy and I did lots of things that are in my diary. So my diary will tell me what I did, but I don't remember. And then Thursday came and Lindy had posted, like, I might do the fast a day early. I'm like, that sounds like a really good idea because I had, stuff on too. And doing the actual fast on a Friday worked out really well because yesterday I had to go to Bundy. So it was just a bit weird. I got up extra early to do the enema in the morning. And yeah, the day flowed well, but I broke my fast with spring rolls, mini vegetable ones. They weren't protein, but I had them because I'm like, oh, can I have that? And I said, if Brennan didn't need to stop at that service station, I wouldn't have bothered, but he had to. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And I paid for it. But I am so glad that I actually did it because it gave me a really good gauge of how clean my body wants to be compared to putting some rubbish in it, because it is rubbish, even though it did taste good.
Yeah.
It's getting out of that mindset of my head kind of going, oh, you can have whatever you like, and the body's like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
So that happened. And then today, yeah, I've had a fairly light day. And I have been I do keep a journal. And I had scrambled eggs this morning on sourdough. So that was after our call this morning, actually. So it was nearly lunchtime. The only naughty thing I did was I had some potato chips. I don't normally eat chips. And this is me sabotaging my good efforts. And I know exactly what I'm doing. And I still did it. So I'm like, That's okay. I'm okay with that.
It's all learning.
And then I have no more, so I won't eat it because I don't buy it. Not for me anyway.
Well, that's good observations because it's all about learning about you and what you do and nipping things in the bud, up here. And it's just the more you do things, the more it's easier to just say, no, I'm not having it. And when you said you paid for having the spring rolls, what happened?
So the first half an hour was fine because we were driving home. And then by the time I got home, I started getting, it felt kind of like heartburn, but it wasn't heartburn because I've had that before. But it was like a tightness in my chest here, but it didn't feel like heartburn. And I just felt very uncomfortable and very unhappy. And then I found that I'm very gassy. Like, I barely had anything, but obviously you go from incredibly clean, and I followed everything as much as I could to the letter.
Yep.
With what I had, and to going to the opposite extreme. And for me, it was a little bit like an experiment, but that's also, I could just say that's an excuse. But I did it, I own it, and I'm okay because I learned from it. And it's almost like I needed that memory to really lock it into why I shouldn't eat those things. And because this is what happens with chocolate. I haven't eaten chocolate in weeks. So I can't eat practically any sugar, and everything's just falling away very quickly. And it's like holding on for dear life while it's happening. It's like, oh, don't eat that. Don't eat that. I'm like, what am I supposed to eat? Basics, very basic food. And that's okay. It's an adjustment.
It's an adjustment. And, occasionally, not when you're fasting, but occasionally we all do things. It's just human nature, you know, we go, oh, what the heck?
Mm.
But, you know how to bring yourself back, because the idea of teaching people about enemas and things like that, herbal teas and enemas, is that if you've overdone it, you can go and do an enema the next morning if you're feeling like crap, and it'll help to shift everything, and obviously help the digestive system too. So,
Yeah, well, on top of that, because I didn't actually break the fast, because that would have been 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So in the morning, I had a celery juice because that's what I felt like.
yeah,
And I had celery juice in the afternoon. So as much as I had a little bit of crap, I also had some good stuff.
yeah, so that's fine.
And
It's
I
fine.
just I want to go back. I want more juice because it's almost like you start getting into that habit. My thing is though, I find it hard to go back to actual food
Yeah,
because I don't want. It's almost like it's too much hassle to eat food.
yes.
But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
That's okay, because if doing the 3 days and then understanding breaking the fast slowly and building up will give you the extra recipes you can use as well.
Mm.
So you might want to have those, like whatever, we do, and then you can learn from that what your body likes. And it's not heavy food or anything, it's simple stuff. So, I mean, that's what our bodies thrive on, really. We all eat too complicated.
Mm.
And then it takes our energy away, that
Mm.
because everything goes down there to break it up and digest. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
sounds like you did a great job. How did you find the juice recipe?
I'm not overly a fan of that much ginger,
Okay. No, well,
but
that's okay. That was for you to experiment with, but it won't move things. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it was good, but yeah, it was a bit strong.
Okay. So did you back off on it for the second one?
No.
Oh, well,
If
good job then.
Hey, if anything, I went as hard on that and I had extra beetroot. So instead of 330 mils, I had like 400 and something mils. I'm like, I'll just keep drinking.
Yeah. That's okay. That's all experimentation. The reason we've got them in certain amounts is because of the balance.
Mm.
And when you do this for more than 3 days and everything, you really need to be attentive to what you're doing. But
Mm.
everybody gets into that frame of mind anyway. Because
Beautiful.
like the spring rolls, if you don't do things in their sort of, well, it hasn't got to be totally exact, but as near as you can, that you end up where you've got too much of something, and yeah,
Mm.
because beetroot's very powerful. Beetroot is very, very strong.
Mhm.
Yeah. So good. Anyway, so well done.
One thing I will say is Friday I didn't drink as much water.
Yeah.
I wasn't thirsty. So the juice was satisfying pretty much everything.
Yep.
But on the Saturday when I was breaking it, because we had traveled, I still had drunk a liter of water in the morning, but my body was feeling very acidic by the end of the day. So I think I just need to drink more water to flush things.
Yeah, well, it says that on there 500 mils or something, or so many hundred mils. I can't remember now what I gave you specifically to have in between. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I didn't.
it's okay. Sometimes I'm not thirsty, especially if it's a cooler day
Mhm.
and you feel satisfied and you're not really thirsty. You don't have to go drinking a whole heap.
Mm.
But yeah, it's an experimentation, and maybe the spring rolls made you thirsty as well.
No, because that was until the afternoon and it
Oh,
was the
sorry.
morning.
You're
Yeah.
talking about in the morning, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was even the Friday I wasn't Thursday, and that was when I was doing the fast.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah,
But it's
all
all
good.
learnings, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's all learnings. Yeah. So
Right,
well,
I'm going off video, sorry.
and were you able to buy anything yesterday when you went to town?
No. I've had to jump online. No, because it was a bit of a mad rush, and
Oh,
I
that's
ended up, I
fine.
did get to the op shop, but I couldn't find where the shops where I needed to go.
That's
So hopefully I'll get those parcels this week though.
I was gonna say
Tuesday's our
that's-
next mail day and Friday.
those parcels should arrive this week. And the other one was only sent a few
Yeah,
days
so
later.
it'll be fine.
You know, you should get them.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's good.
fabulous. Okay, Lindy, over to you. How was your day of fasting?
It was interesting. So yeah, I was Thursday going through a bit of stress because I had these family events, and I sent you that message, and I was thinking I'm not going to be able to fast, and I was having a stress over it. And then it just dropped in, just, well, why don't you move it forward a day? Like, it was like this voice from nowhere. It's like, whoa, who said that? Okay, what a great idea. So I looked at my calendar and went, that works. So, and then because I hadn't really been eating heavy all that day anyway, because I've started up my quinoa flakes in the morning for breakfast with blueberries in it and a drizzle of honey, raw honey. And yes, I went, well, that's all right. I just won't have protein. So I then prepared myself for it. And Dave was out. I sent a message and said, can you please get me my vegetables?
Yeah.
And then I had Ryan Maddie here. So that was a little bit awkward because during the enema, when they're sort of in earshot in their room just over there, it was a bit hard to do the full evacuation. Didn't want to sound like a cow on the toilet.
You just take the music and turn it up.
Yeah, well, I did that the next morning, but I didn't think of it that night. I didn't think of it in time.
Yeah.
So that was interesting because it had me holding on.
Yes. Yeah,
you know?
because stressed about making a noise.
Yeah, being heard. Someone
Yeah.
hearing me in the toilet. I just didn't want to traumatize them and them in the bedrooms going, la, la, la. The last thing they need to hear is me having an enema, because they knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I just thought they didn't need the sound effects. So that was interesting, having that experience. So the next time I prepared with my music, don't know if it worked or not, but at least I felt like it was a bit muted. So I did the things the night before, did the things the morning, did the juice, and my beetroot was actually a little bit small, so I had less beetroot than what I needed. So my first juice had the right amount of beetroot in it, but the next juice I had too much grapefruit, and I went, oh, just put it in.
Yeah.
And then as it was squeezing in the thing, because it's got its measurement on it, it went up to 100 mils. I brought out a container. I just was like, nope, and automatically grabbed a container and removed some and then tipped it in the sink. I just went, just get rid of it. Just have what you need to have.
Yeah.
The pears were not ripe. They were quite hard pears, and I thought, oh, how are they going to juice? What's going to happen with that? Because last time my pears were super ripe, so the juice was really creamy from the pear, whereas this time it was literally just a harder pear juice, so I could see the difference. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. But yeah, I had the alarm set, which helped me. I did have things going on, not client calls. I think I did a client call. So I just got through the day, and then the next morning was going out to those things, and then I had a urgent fix I had to do Saturday morning, so I was on the call to one of my other partners helping me out in the States, fixing up this problem. And then I'm watching the clock tick, and I just said to him, look, I'm going to have to get going soon because I've got to do a few things before I go out. Mm-hmm. So the drive was, before I go, I have to do this. Mm-hmm. The enema was one, it was like, right, I've got to get that done. I need to go to the bathroom, do a wee first before I did that. Yeah. Dave was in there, so I had to wait. So there was all these little things, but I just went, it's okay, just do it. So I did. I just went, okay. We didn't end up leaving at 10:30 when we were supposed to. We left at 10:40. We sent a message. It was no biggie. We sent a message. Dave sent a message when we were in the car going, yep, our ETA is this time, which was fine. We had plenty of time.
Yes.
When we were out for lunch, so breaking the fast, I had because I was short on time, I did the enema, and then I went, no, I can't break my fast at the restaurant. I have to have my quinoa flakes. So I made them up and took them in a cup with me and ate them in the car on the way, which was delicious. Made them with water. So I followed it. I could have gone, I'll have my almond milk in there. It will be all right. But I just was like, no. So I did that. And that was fine. The lunch was interesting. So I was looking through the menu, and I was going to have a linguine, because I was like, I can have fish, I can have seafood. So I was going to have but ended up there was a linguine with mushroom and stuff. I wanted to have that. But I didn't have gluten-free pasta. So as it turned out, Dave got it, and it was extremely fatty, like lots and lots of butter.
Okay.
So I'm glad I didn't have it, because that would have been too much.
Yeah.
I ended up having a halloumi salad,
Mm-hmm.
and it had some potatoes on it. So that was fine. But I sat there looking at his dish opposite me going, I want that. I want that. And that's what triggered in my head that piece. And it actually completed today. I sat having lunch with him today. And I'll get to that one. But it was just interesting, the observation, and I was aware of it, and I'm going, okay, it was like, stop, which is why I knew it was in my head.
Yeah.
It wasn't in my body. It wasn't a body craving. But then I went, well, hang on, maybe it is. Maybe your ego's saying it's not. Bad story. Trust your intuition. I know it's this. I know it's a pattern that I've had from my mother, because it was always comfort food.
Yes.
So I don't know whether it is or not. And I hear you and going, don't overanalyze, don't overthink, whatever it is. However, yes, food is a reward. It was that it triggered in me that even though I ate mine and I felt full, so I knew I'd had enough,
Yeah.
I didn't have that satisfaction. My taste buds, it's the ego, isn't it? It didn't get fed this comfort food, because I was in a stressful situation for me. And I needed to comfort eat. It was like, let me comfort eat, but I couldn't. So then that activated that part of me. Now, in the past, when that part of me's activated, I've gone on food binges, and I would spend $25 at McDonald's. I would buy a whole custard tart and eat. Wow, the memory.
You're not
So-
the only one that's probably done that. So don't beat yourself up.
So it's a very, very deep seated thing, and I know it's coming up for a reason, right? And I'm grateful for that. But I stuck to the thing. I had this. It was like, no, I need to eat this, and I had that. What did we have for dinner that night? Oh, we went out for Thai for dinner. I wasn't thank you, Alexis. I've got my water here.
All right, just take a breath. Just take a breather. I'll have the water for you.
Thank you. At dinner, I could still feel the sabotage wanting to play out. And, I ordered a couple of entrees because the gluttony eyes came out. I was like, I'm so hungry. I just want to eat food. That's what it was like. And I ordered money bags and fish cakes. I thought money bags were like spring rolls, vegetarian, something or other. And then I had the fish cakes, which have shallots in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ordered a seafood curry and rice. So, and I didn't end up eating all of that because it had heaps of cauliflower in it, and the fish was battered, which I can't eat battered fish. So I just ate calamari pretty much. Because I wanted it for the fish, but all the fish dishes were battered. So I was just like, okay, I'll go seafood. And I thought, is that allowed? She said fish. That's not seafood, but fish is a seafood. So
that's all right. You're experimenting at the moment, so that's fine.
So so what you're saying there is no, other fish, other seafood is not fish. So when you say you can eat fish as the protein, it is eat fish.
Yeah, so not your prawns and all that, because they're really difficult to break up in the body. Fish is
Yes.
really food to process. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But that's
So I came home from dinner, still had that, like I was really full, and I ate until I felt that full. And I remembered your message of, okay, I've overeaten. But again, I was with my mum and dad, so old patterns and things come out, and they're all about food. And you know, I watched my mum devour this huge amount of food, which was a lot. And I was just going, yeah, I know where I get it from. And she's been saying lately to me in messages, you're like me, you know, you're like me, you know. And I'm going, oh no, please, no, I know I am, but don't, please.
yeah, but I don't have to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and then today again, I had the quinoa flakes for breakfast with blueberries and honey. Got that into me before the training. So I was like, right, I make sure I've got my sustenance. I need my energy. And I just find that really yummy, especially at the moment when it's colder in the mornings. It's just so yummy to eat. And it's got that feeling when I eat it.
Good.
Blueberries, $10 a punnet, bit expensive.
That's right. They were 17 down here.
Ooh, wow. But then I went out, then I was on the call, and then after that I was full of all this weird energy. So I played my pan drum, which you saw. I did a video of that. And then I went and trimmed the hedge because I was like, nah, I feel like I still need to move. So I went and did some hedge trimming. Thank you, Alexis. I loved it too. So I was listening to my body. What does my body telling me to do? It said move. So I went and saw Dave, and I was like wanting to talk heaps. And I went, instead of talking at him, let him do his task, which was fish tank cleaning and flooding the room, which he always does, even though he tries not to. He always floods the room. It's not just a normal fish tank either. It's a whole wall of fish tanks breeding fish. So I did the hedge, and then I was famished, and I was like, okay, Dave, do we cook up tonight's dinner now, or do we go out? Because I wanted to go out and get the dog bed at Bunnings. And I don't very often ask to go out, you know, or say I'm going out. So Dave jumped at the chance. So then it was okay. And then I got in my head, okay, I feel like grilled. Let's go out. I'll have grilled. So I got a chicken burger from Grilled, gluten-free bun, no onion and stuff. But I was eating it. I did get the chips as well, shared them with Dave, even though he's not supposed to have them. And I felt that the ego satisfaction was just like, oh, there it is. So it got fed. It then that intense thing that I had going on, that no matter what I ate, nothing would satisfy me until it gets what it wants. Mm. So, and this is why I know it's a psychological thing. So I want to figure out what the hell that is, or not so much what it is, but the remedy for it. But for me, I need understanding to then remedy, because if I know what it is, I then know what not to do, or then what to replace, sort of thing. Anyway, so I was partway through the burger feeling full, and then your voice kicked in. You know, if you're feeling that satisfaction, you've eaten too much. And I'm like, well, I feel satisfied right now, so stop eating then. Oh, but you know, stop eating then. I'll just eat it. And there was part of me that was just about to pick it up and hook into it, but I went, no, I'm actually going to take this away. So I went and got the container. So I only ate half the burger, and that's unheard of for me as well. So I stopped and listened and didn't overindulge again, which was great. We did have chops and mash for dinner tonight, and I was eating the potatoes, and I'm like, there's the hidden sugars in the carbohydrates, because I think I've had some during the week as well, because sometimes I get cravings, not cravings, but the urge for potatoes, that starchy root grounding vegetable. Stodge, I would call it, because that gives me that satisfied feeling.
Well, that's coming from the past, isn't it? So like
Yeah.
for many of us, I mean, I was brought up meat and mash. So,
Yes. Yeah. Well, that was the cheap dinner, was lamb chops and veggies with mash. That was the cheap dinner. So,
you too, Alexis. Okay.
yeah, me too. So yeah, it was interesting feeling it. The messages, the posting, I haven't done my journaling in that thing, and I know I need to do it again. It's that thing. I was a little bit triggered by the dedicated, committed, because it's like, well, I feel like I've really dedicated and committed to myself and achieved this thing, but I still didn't do it right.
It
And it's
doesn't
like, oh, I still didn't do enough.
same thing as you saying this morning. Sorry, it's a bug in my glasses. It's the same thing as you saying this morning. Put it out there. It doesn't have to be perfect. Experimentation time, and you're learning about you, and you're learning what up here does. Okay, that's why I'd never put somebody on a big fast if they've never done anything before, because
Yeah.
fast. So
Yeah.
it's got to be some trial and error and understanding about what you're doing, and then then it sort of all falls into place. Same with your work. It's
And I also know if there's too much coming at me to do, I will just go in a heap and I'll be sitting in the corner going, just literally paralyzed and unable to do, knowing I've got all this stuff to do, but I literally get paralyzed and can't do any of it. So it all goes out the window. So I'm like, no, I'm just going to own this, be in control of what I can. And I followed all the bits and pieces. It was just that documentation, which I've always been challenged with journaling.
Yes, I know.
So
it's all right. You don't need to do that this week. It was just, just a prompt. So you did very well then.
Yes, I did. It was very good.
I think you've done extremely well, seeing as I do know Lindy. And
yes. Yes, I have. I've done really well, and a lot came up in that process. A lot of different things, and I was able to just to go boop, 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 through it, except for that. I just want to eat that food. Give me that. It was like I had Gollum going, "My precious, give it to me. I want to eat it."
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. It sits there going, "I want it, I want it," and it's energy draining. And it's like, oh, will you stop it?
But it happens to everybody on different levels. Okay, some people get a bigger voice in the head, as I call it.
Yes.
But it's just when I was saying you have got the commitment now, you've got the commitment, and the discipline is just learning not to listen. That's all. That's all. And you started to do that too. Both of you have. You started to listen and really understand, how it's playing out. Yeah. So that's what it's about, really. And once you've got over that hurdle, or it's never going to be 100%, and you've made the commitment to do a 3-day one, well, you'll just stick with it because you've made the choice, you've made the decision, and it's just what you do. It's like, I've got to drive the car for 3 days. I've got to drive my body for 3 days. Yeah.
I was saying to Dave on the Friday night, I was sitting there and I looked at him and I went, oh my God, how am I going to do 3 days of this? I'm so looking forward to eating food. And I just went, one day at a time.
One day at a time. And also, it's not so easy to do when someone's cooking in front of you. Okay, so that is also another thing, another discipline to go, right, well, I've made the choice, and yes, it smells delicious and everything else, but it's just really saying, you have to just saying to this, no, I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And when I did my 3-day fast with you, I did have to cook for the boys, Alexis.
Yeah.
So
I used to cook through all my fasts for the family when when they were still home.
Yeah.
But
I get he has a pattern, and he's like, oh well, and he goes into a little child, and a bit sooky sulky of, oh, I can't go cook because you're doing this and I don't want to make it hard for you.
Well, that's all right. Tell him to have a juice as well.
So I did have said that next time I go on the next thing, just do it with me.
Yeah.
So just join me then.
Yeah.
So he's not going to join me for the juicing side of it, but he'll join me for the breaking fast. But we'll see. But his GERD's playing up at the moment, so he's being told.
Okay.
So hopefully he listens a bit. But
Yeah.
anyway, not my monkeys. Lindy's doing Lindy. You do you.
You do exactly.
Yeah.
Can't be responsible for someone else.
Yeah. But it was the observation of meat and I guess it'd have to be potato, or I mean, even though I sat and ate potatoes tonight and I didn't really enjoy it. I wasn't really hungry for it, and I ate meat because it had been cooked for me, sort of thing, and it was nice, but I didn't really enjoy it because I was still full from lunchtime.
Yeah.
So, and me, like Alexis goes, I don't like to eat. Well, with me, it's been, I don't have an appetite to eat.
Yes.
So Saturday morning, I woke up and I was full. I felt full. And I thought, well, that's odd because I haven't eaten the day before. You should be bumbly tummy. But it didn't. And then I remembered, oh, that's right. This is normal for me, waking up and not actually being hungry to eat food.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
And I guess another thing, before I forget, is that if you go out for lunch, you don't have to have another meal for dinner.
mhm.
Just have a juice.
Yes, okay.
Or a little bit of soup in the fridge or something. Because
Yeah.
one big meal a day is probably ample for everybody,
Mm.
whether you have it at lunchtime or dinner time or whatever you choose. So, and yes, that's right, Alexis.
I used to do that for my kids, cook them all different meals. And Dave used to go, why do you do that? I just make them eat it. I'm like, no, I was made to eat food as a young child. I was made to eat tomato soup. And I went away from the dinner table and threw up. My mum doesn't remember that part, but I do. And I cannot eat tomato soup.
It's very strong.
Yeah, but I was forced to eat it. So from there, that thing for me, I've never forced my kids to eat anything.
And to be honest, I mean, this is just a quick share, is that we used to make little single individual serves in the freezer of meat, fish, whatever. And then if we were making veggies, we'd pull out in the morning what it was we wanted to go with the veggies.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was happy.
That's easy.
Yeah, it makes life easy. And yes, having found that the more I focus on getting my own health sorted and not focus on the family, the more they start to make better choices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
because they start unconsciously seeing what's going on for you.
Mm. Yeah, well, the fact that I've left the house twice, yesterday and today, is huge.
It's very big for you, and you just
And
sort
I
of
was happy about it. It was like,
gone through it like that. So
yeah,
it's great. It's
Yeah.
great. So lots of things are happening. Excellent.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so I've got a few things I want to share with you tonight. So I'll share my screen. Oh, what am I doing? Share screen, Sandy. Up here. Here we go. So this is week 3. These will be week 3 notes that you'll get. And this is, we've already gone through what are you learning? Have you got everything you need? Well, we know that, Lindy does, and Alexis has got stuff coming in the mail this week, definitely. So she'll be all sorted. But I've got 3 little charts to go through, and funnily enough, Alexis, last week you asked about the body clock, but this is already coming up this week anyway. So the first one I want to go through, there's 3 different circles, to be honest. I love doing circular work. So this circle of embedded traits, I've done lots of different courses, and I put this together, you can see, back in 2016, because it's a bit like the hero's journey, if you've ever done anything like that, or our own individual journeys. So to start off with, we're here. Okay, we're born, and then we have our upbringing, and we've got the environment, and we've got all the experiences that we have as babies, children, etc. And we see things in a certain way because that's the experiences that we've had. So we make up the stories about how it is and how we need to fit into that in our life. And then that brings up our thoughts and feelings, because the stories are our thoughts and our feelings, basically. But our thoughts and feelings get distorted, I would say, a little bit. So we'll just leave that there. But the stories, the thoughts, and the feelings make up your beliefs. So you end up believing whatever's gone before. There's nothing wrong with that. It's your truth. It's not everybody else's, but it's your truth of what's gone on for you and what you've learned and how you've learned to be in the world. And from the beliefs, we make assumptions and perceptions and, a whole lot of other things that come up. But basically, our perception is, how we see things is from back here, the stories, the thoughts, the feelings, and the beliefs we've got. And that's how we are in the world. And that colours our behaviours. So we behave in certain ways, as Lindy was saying before, because of what's gone on before. And then if we're not aware, and it just keeps going round and round and round, yeah? And we just keep doing the same thing. And we all know that scenario. So I've just written a few little things here. I've just put, when we begin our journey in this lifetime, when we're conceived, after we have chosen our parentage. I don't know what you two believe, but that's just from all my research and stuff. That's what, I've come up with. Our upbringing, environment, and life experience to the age of 7, it's a very vulnerable time, those first few years. So, and our filters are not yet formed properly. So we take everything as at face value. We model what's being put before us, we copy, and it's what we're seeing, so we think that's the best way to do anything. And we take this perception through our life, and that's the basis of that comes from our stories. Our thoughts and feelings are propped up by our stories. That's what I was coming to on the circle before. And we grow these stories, and as we grow, the stories underlie our beliefs, which we perceive as our truth. So I'm just repeating what I basically said before. We perceive through the tunnel vision of our truth, which directs and colours our behaviours. So with Lindy talking about what's gone on for her, that is what's happening. It's just, it's the tunnel vision of our truth, because the ego doesn't want to see anything outside of that. It just wants to be satisfied, or, we're keeping you safe, Lindy. You've got to do what you always have done. And so it colours, what we're doing. And then in turn, it plays into our life experience, and that's where the circle goes on. And then I've put until. So I'm just going to quickly come back and open up to you two and ask you, what would be the next thing you would say there when I say until?
Drum roll.
What was that? Drum roll.
Drum roll. Until. Very reflective. And my brain, and I just was like, okay, so how do I interject that circle to stop me replaying that thing? And I know I've been doing that, and because I always talk about circle work, but you're actually coming around, you will revisit it, but from a higher level.
Yes,
awareness.
Spiral.
Yeah, so I'm spiraling up and around to it all the time. So it's like, okay, I would like a replacement framework in there, and I believe that's what we're already doing, right? So I just need to go, you're already doing it, Lindy. Trust the process and just keep doing what you're doing, and that will happen.
Yes.
That's pretty much as I need to.
Yeah,
No,
you
isn't it?
don't need a replacement framework.
Mhm.
It's going to getting too into it, if that makes sense. You just need to, as you've already said this weekend, things haven't worried you as much and you've gone through things like this. It's the same thing with this. That will happen as well. That's like the next progression. Okay. So it's changing. It's not changing so much, but when those thoughts and feelings come up, it's what's the word that, you know, when I say like, and next, what is it that you're actually doing?
Interrupting the pattern.
Interrupting the pattern. Yep. Exactly. Because you're recognizing it. Yeah. You're aware of what's going on. If you're not aware of it, it's never going to change. It's just going to keep grinding around and around. So awareness and, you know, and interrupting the pattern because you're aware and you go, right, I don't need to do that. So, and that's it. That's the gist of that whole thing. You know,
Okay.
we don't need to make a replacement as such. It's just doing it differently. Yeah. So I'm going to keep going with the next ones and then we can have a share after. So then the next one is all about emotions, because these are the behaviors and you know, colors and the behaviors that happen. So, you know, if we're, what are we saying here? Well, let's say sad, because we're talking about fasting here. Say we're sad. It brings up that because, you know, oh, we haven't had our food or whatever is coming up. You can see all these, you know, different things that can happen here. Yeah. And these may have been what happened in the past to make you feel sad. And that's buying into that same pattern. Yeah. So this particular chart just gives you a bit of a, like your chart this morning, Lindy, where you start off with one thing and then you're going out to others to help you to really understand how you're feeling. Like if you get angry because, you know, you can't eat something, for instance, and the anger may come up. So then you look here to see, you know, first line, what's going on. And you could just be frustrated. Yeah. Or you could feel humiliated. Yeah. Because you're not allowed to have what you want. Yeah. So sometimes if someone's done that to you in the past, you can't have what you want, you feel disrespected. Yeah. And ridiculed. So all these things can come through. So that's why we use this wheel, and it just helps us to understand ourselves a bit more and where it's come from. Yeah. Or how, if you know where you are here, then you can switch it. Yeah. You can just say, oh, I don't need to be like that anymore. That was what was going on before. So I've put here our emotions, and I talk a lot about emotions because they're energy in motion. It's just our energy. Adjust that. And our emotions are a reflection of our circle of embedded traits, which was the previous circle. And are you reactive or non-reactive with certain emotions? So that's the question. That's the question to ask yourself. How are you behaving really? Yeah. Are you behaving like the naughty child that can't have something? Or, you know, whatever's coming up. Yeah. So I've got the what if there. So just going to close that down now and come back to you both. What if? So you've got to that stage and you've realized what's going on. What if? What if? What's the next thing?
It's the change.
Yeah.
Doing it differently.
Yeah. See it for what it is and say, oh, I don't need to do that. Or by choosing to do something, you know, this way, this time. Alexis, you're right there?
That's what I call the new framework, Sandy. of choosing a different way.
Yes.
Well, I don't necessarily know a different way. So that's where I go seeking externally, because I don't have that ability within myself to
Understand.
self-regulate to a certain
Okay.
extent.
So you don't make it into a big thing. If you want, if something's coming up for you, like you said, you know, it's saying, I've got to have that. Just think of when you were a child and you just say, I've got to have that, and you've got to have it until you've got it. But that's child behavior. You're an adult. And so now you're choosing to look after yourself. So when that comes up, you go, yes, but I'm choosing to look after me now. And that's all you need to do. It
Okay, got it.
doesn't have to be a complete new framework or anything like that. It's just when those thoughts and feelings come up, you just are choosing it as the adult Lindy, not the child Lindy, if you want to make it simple like that.
Inner child, yeah.
Yeah. And we all have it. It's you know, it's and we've all had childhoods and we've all had things that go on, and it's plays out differently for everybody. That's why I've got that wheel of emotions there, because emotions are huge. You know, there probably isn't even everything there, but you know, there's quite an array of things there here to relate to. So just try to remember when this is talking, that's the child and you're the adult. That might be another way of remembering to do something differently. So it's
I was just going to say, I also find when changes are happening very quickly, that's when the gremlins start coming out and those old behaviors and patterns actually rear their head really intensely.
Yep.
Because I'm experiencing that at the moment with, I've been releasing some weight and there's some stories in my head going, what happens if I get too skinny, or
Yes.
am I losing it too quickly, or is this healthy, and blah, blah, blah. I've never experienced what I'm experiencing before, because I stayed the same weight roughly or higher for nearly 20 years. So this is completely different. My brain's going, and this is why I know I'm sabotaging, because it's like, we just, it was comfortable where we were, but it wasn't actually comfortable, but it's what I knew.
Yes.
And now I'm in this whole trying to create the new, and it's very different, and it's a little daunting.
Yes.
But the rest of me is like, yep, we'll do this. And there's just those tiny little bits, and I've smacked that down over the years, a tiny little bit that's like, no, we just want to stay where we are right now. I'm like, no, I don't want to do that, thanks. So yeah, it's interesting.
It is. It's an interesting process, but now both of you might start to understand why I do a lot of therapeutic fasting with people, because it sets them up, as I said the other day, sets them up for life, just meaning that they see so much about themselves and they get to experience the changes firsthand. It's the mind and the body is sort of the secondary, but it's the mind that plays havoc with us. And if we can fast and we can follow a protocol for a few days or whatever, you just start to think, well, what else can I do in life? Yeah. So that's another reason why, I feel it's a really good tool. It's not for everybody. There's plenty of other things out there, but it can give you quite good shifts. Another reason why I won't let people fast without me being available is because you need to reach out at those times. When you feel like, maybe not you're going to give up, but it's really difficult and hard. So, and once you get over those hurdles, if you do a longer fast, by day 4, you've usually moved through those. Yeah. The other things that might come up are those deep-seated experiences or perhaps things that have gone on in the past but they're not usually quite so intense.
Mhm.
Those first few days, getting over that hurdle of the mind getting around, you're not giving me the food that I want, is not as easy as it sounds. And if you can get one day under your belt, and then if you move into 3 days and you can do that, then you've basically home and hosed, if that's the right way to say it.
Mhm.
But everybody has to experience not just therapeutic fasting, but they have to experience things to
Mm.
learn. If we don't experience things, we can't learn.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is. People who keep running away because they don't want to experience something because it feels uncomfortable is never going to get them where they want to go, because we have to sit in that uncomfortableness to be able to move beyond where we are. So
Insane.
Yeah, absolutely.
next, we've got one more circle here to go through. And you can write here, what if and until, if you want to scribble on them, although you can, or you can download it and type on it, just scribble all over it. And here's our body clock that Alexis was asking about last week. This is where it comes in anyway this week when I'm talking about fasting. So this gives you a pretty good idea about the timing of what our body does. So, and what each organ does and the time it's doing it, and why you would have, say, breakfast around between 7 and 9-ish. Hasn't got to be exact. Or go for a walk or something like that. They're just saying it's a good time. People often wake up and release their bowels in the morning, or they meditate, not just or they meditate, because we all know that meditation is good first thing in the morning. So some of all of this will make absolute sense to you, and maybe even what you're doing. But when we're talking about foods, we can have a look here, the small intestine. So eating lunch not too late, 1:30-ish, so that then the small intestine can sort and absorb the food. Okay, but while that's happening, we will all go low in energy, or it will reduce down, because this is what it's busy. The body's busy doing this. And so it hasn't got that 100% energy that you had at 10 o'clock, say. Yeah. And so we go round here, and I like this. They've even got light reading and sex. But anyway, there you go. Between 7 and 9, please. So, we're talking about, eating meals at night and things like that. There's a certain better time to have it. Yeah. This is basically the hours that the different organs work. So this is why it's not good to eat late at night, because the body's busy doing other things. And sometimes we go out late and, or we go out for dinner and we're eating later than we would normally, and that's a one-off. But the next day you might feel a bit, and that's why, because the body's busy trying to do what it needs to do, and you've not fed it at the right time, if that makes sense. Yeah. It's a bit like animals. They will let you know when it's their tea time, because they don't stop barking till you give it to them, but they know when they need something. Yeah. So what I've written down here is what time you eat has a profound effect upon your body and your energy, your subsequent energy. And remember, we're organic beings, and ingesting inorganic material will create harm in our bodies, slowly builds up in our bodies. Ingesting, stimulating and depressing drugs, medications, foods, drinks that make us feel good, and then, oh, we can't have that, we better have something else, not only taxes the nervous and immune system, but it's detrimental to our vital organs, our mind and our spirit, because it's making it like this. So it's not on a, not that we want to be on a Zen all the time, or that, this sort of line all the time because we want to have emotions and we want to feel and we want to know when we're happy and we're a bit sad, but we don't want to have those big spikes going on. And to know that each body has its own natural cycle. So even though this is telling you what, you know, generally this is where the organs clean themselves and they work, you've got to understand yourself and what works for you. Yeah. So this is why I work with people over and over to try and get them to chart, not because I really want them to sit there and give them a hard task to do, but it will reflect back to you what's actually going on. And some people don't really know what they do. Yeah, until you see it all written down in front of you and you know, the time you have breakfast and things like that, you don't really still know what you do. You go, oh yeah, I had that, and that. But when did you have it? How much did you have? All that sort of thing. It's just being more aware. That's the next level. So it doesn't have to go that deep right now. But if we get into that, when you break the fast on a long fast, when you've, say, done 10 days or something, when you break the fast over a couple of weeks, that's the best time to chart, because then you would know, you know, how you're feeling as you start to reintroduce foods. Yeah, and that tells you an awful lot. So that's the three charts that I had to share with you today. I'm just going to go back to the agenda to make sure I've covered everything, and then we'll have a quick. Yeah, body clock. Oh, and 3-day fasting. Yes. Okay. All right. So that's it. So questions, and, you know, how did you find those? Did you find them helpful, or are they now confusing you more? Or
Alexis put a comment in. Definitely helpful, and it's that's what I needed to refer to yesterday, so I know now that I can look at week 3 notes and see that wheel and look at that emotion, see where it's coming from, and go, what's the opposite, which is what my I Believe in You page was about. What's that opposite emotion? Let's slot that one in instead. Okay, let's turn the volume up on that and turn that one down. Come back to that radio dial.
whatever works for you.
So
it's just recognizing what's coming up is, you know, 50% of it, or even more, so 70%, and then 30% is just going, right, well, I'm not going to continue to do that.
I knew it wasn't whatever withdrawals. I knew it was this.
Yeah.
Good old tinkering away out there.
Yeah.
So thank you.
And Alexis put, this helps with what is happening in the wake of time. Yes, yes. So you'll start to understand your body now and why you might wake at certain times. You know, some people wake at, let's go back to here again, to this last chart. And a lot of people wake up 2 or 3 in the morning is very, very common. That's often when the liver is starting to detox and it's working away. And if the liver is really, what can I say, under par, then it's going to be working harder than it needs to, and it will often wake people. Okay. And if you get woken, then you probably think, oh, I've just got to go to the loo or something. But it could be that the body's having to, we've given it a big job to do. I mean, it doesn't stop our whole life. It goes round the clock, round the clock, round the clock. We don't turn it off like the car, you know, so it can have a rest. So it's just continually going and going with, you know, it's a marvelous thing, our body, you know, and we need to really take notice of that. So if you wake up at any particular times, you can start to see what's going on and the things that you might need to work with a little bit more than others. So that
Coming out of my, well, actually no, Friday night. I think it was a Friday night. I woke at 3:50 or something like that. I know it said 3. It was 3 something. And I was like, oh, it's interesting because I never usually wake up.
yeah. But it's also when you're fasting, sometimes in the first few days, it can be the body adjusting.
Well, this was the night
Oh,
before.
oh, I can have a bigger clean tonight. Oh, let's go. That sort of thing, you know. So it's for various reasons. But I will tell you that when you get into longer fasting, if you choose to, that you sleep much better. Yeah.
I'm curious at looking at Alexis's times, midnight, 10:30 and 2 a.m.
Yeah. So let's go back to the chart again.
It's like having a silent shadow in the background talking to us. Alexis being off camera.
So what time did we say? 10:30? And then when was it? 2?
Midnight.
Oh, midnight.
10:30 p.m., midnight, and 2 a.m.
Yeah. So all that, these 3 organs working, you know, working hard. They're probably just cleaning themselves maybe a bit extra than they need to. But when we start to really clean out the body, then those particular organs won't have to work so hard and they don't wake us up. I mean, it's just putting it really simply, but that's what's happening. So
My gallbladder used to wake me up, all right.
yeah.
I had emergency surgery, Alexis, with my gallbladder. I had a 23 millimeter stone. Significant, just to say the least.
That's significant. So it was always trying to fix itself.
Yes.
Which is what the body's always trying to do. And really, you know, I mean, it would be great if we could get the body into a certain space, which we can do, and maintain that all the time for the rest of our life. But it doesn't work like that because we're taking on emotional things. It's not just about what we're eating, and we start to experience other things, and things don't go how we got into a really good space to do things, and then it sort of all goes out the window. I mean, that's just life. That's just life. And so, you know, to give people some tools, and you don't have to do a full-blown fast or anything. You could just do an enema if you've got an upset tummy, knowing the right enemas to use for different things, which I'll let you know, just the simple ones, you know, before we finish the 5 weeks and that, or you can always ask me, but it's just having that bit of a toolkit there and being really aware and go, okay, well, today I'm going to eat really light. It could be just as simple as that. Or it could be today I'm just going to have a broth, or, you know, because I had a really big weekend. Could be any number of things that work for you, but just finding those things, and you've got your toolkit at home, and really you don't need to go anywhere else because you're listening to you and fixing yourself. You need to.
Alexis has chatted in there.
Oh, sorry.
Can't you come off mute, Alexis?
Yes, sorry.
No,
I just
okay.
I find it
I've had emotional including.
yeah, I find it easier to type while
No,
I have it in my head.
Yeah.
No, the only difference between a 1 day and 3 day fast is you're repeating the 1 day for 3 days, but
Okay.
they will be different juices. So the regime is the same.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So there's
And
no.
it's a 5-day break of fast.
Yes, and then there's a 5-day breaking the fast where there's particular recipes to use to build the nutrients in the body up.
That was one thing I forgot to mention. My calf muscles got really tight because while I've been doing this, I haven't taken any supplements. And I realized I do have some liquid minerals. I should be taking some of that while we're juicing just to help with the muscles.
Yeah, sorry, what minerals?
Let me just grab it. It's Sorry. It's mineral of earth, and it's a blend of essential multi-trace minerals. It's Mother Earth Minerals Incorporated, the brand.
So it's the trace elements that you're taking.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Which I haven't actually taken for a while, but I've got it.
Well then, yeah, if you haven't been taking anything, then now is a good time to just bring something back in one at a time and just, is this working?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're taking so many things sometimes and you're already cleaning the body yourself anyway, you don't really need to take some of the others.
Yeah, that's why I stopped.
Yeah, no, that's good. But, you know, try taking the minerals. And for you, you may need to take some trace elements. I mean, quite often we use tissue salts, you know, Schussler tissue salts.
Yeah.
And or I can make them up in liquid form. If you know, I think he's got hers there. But they're like a trace element because they're homeopathic in the homeopathic form, but the small doses are actually more powerful when we drip feed them than they are to take one dose of a big tablet and most of it'll go through the other end.
Yeah, I used to use them for my youngest, I think. So definitely.
Yeah. So that's where homeopathics and this what I call softer medicines might work better. And it's actually well known in the doctor's world, if you want to call it that, that we only really, from a tablet that they make, we only really absorb about a third of it. So we're not absorbing everything because some of it is fillers anyway that we don't want to really take in. That's why liquids and capsules, sometimes the vegetarian capsules, vegan capsules are better and easier to, you know, break down in the body. But and if your digestive system is really upset, most of the time those tablets are going to go straight through.
Yep.
So you're really not going to break them down much at all. So you're not going to get much from them. So this is why we use a lot of herbal teas, enemas, everything's liquid. So it will actually work much quicker and have better effect.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to review Lindy did a 3-day fast, but that was years ago. I'm going to review hers and put hers in her folder, in her new folder. And I'll get one made up for you, Alexis, but I'm just going to make it with what you've got when you receive your parcels. This is the first time you're doing it. And that's fine. It'll just be different enemas, different juices on the different days, but the protocol still sort of timing and everything will stay the same.
Okay.
And I'll put up breaking the fast, just excuse me, for 5 days as well, because we'll speak next Monday. But if you're starting on Monday, you need that because you're starting. So it's like doing your first day, your 1 day on the Monday, if that's when you've both decided to do it.
I can't remember.
Yeah, we did.
It's in the diary.
Monday the 13th.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, actually, yes, now I remember.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll have a meet, we'll meet after that first night, and you've got probably have questions, and we'll go through breaking the fast as well. Okay. The other thing that I will be going through is also about choice making. Something on that as well, so that if that will help as you're moving through things. So that's the gist of next week, and in the meantime I will get the 3 days put up for both of you. So but you'll have everything you need. It's just basically getting the fruits and veggies or whatever it is that you need for your juices. So and that's it really. What questions have you got? Any questions or anything you want to
I think you've pretty much answered. Like, we're trying not to go too far ahead. The only thing I can think of is if you can offer some ideas for the herbal enemas, what are some basic herbs? Because I ordered some herbs online today. I've got chamomile and sage coming.
Yes.
And they might be here by the end of the week. They might not. But
But
either way,
because I've already sent you sage and chamomile,
Yeah.
so you'll have enough to, and you can drink both of them as well.
oh
You-
yeah, I drink chamomile.
Yeah, so you
It's
can
good
make
for
them into
soothing.
teas. But that's the three enemas
Mhm.
that we would use in a basic is sage, chamomile, and bicarb soda.
Okay, I've got all that. All will
Okay.
have all.
So that's all you need. That's all you need. Okay. So you'll have everything, I'm sure. Probably arrive on Tuesday and the other one arrive Friday.
Yes.
So the first parcel you're getting only has one tincture in it,
Mhm.
Angela.
Yeah.
And you can do the fast with just the one, or if you get the other two, you can do it with all three.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just wait and see. So don't let that stop you.
No, that's why I just did what I could this one.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And it's not a problem. At least you've done it. You know, just think of all the people out there who wouldn't even be considering doing anything like this.
No, and it is a little because I only started doing enemas this year.
Yeah.
I've been aware of it for like 10. It's like, I could never do that. And then November, I started doing colonics. I'm like, oh, enemas isn't that different. So yeah, it's just all adding the new pieces in slowly
Yep.
and adjusting. And yeah, because everything's changed very quickly. So
Yeah. Yeah. And we have to adjust, you know, we've got to try things and go, oh, that's not as bad as I thought it would be. You know, trying to tell footballers they've got to do an enema is always interesting. They go, men don't do this. And I said, oh, yes, they do. But you know, it's that it's just what it is. Yeah, it's just what it is. And if it's anything that helps you to feel better, and if our gut's upset, the rest of us is all over the place, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
how I was for the first probably 30 years of my life before I found other things. Because I just, yeah, I was a bit of a pickle, to be honest.
Yeah.
My parents didn't know any different, and you know, then I chose to do things differently. Like Lindy was saying before, she chose to not, you know, get her kids to forcibly eat things
Mm-hmm.
because the things that we were uncomfortable with, we don't want to make other people, you know, in the family feel uncomfortable with. So
Yeah.
it's
And
that belief again, isn't it? It's like that old belief. Everybody has to eat at the table and you all have to eat before you can get to everything. Even
yes.
the last Brussels sprout, which I used to hate.
Plate's got to be clean if you want dessert. So I used to overeat to be
Mm-hmm.
able to get the yummies. Ah, pattern.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling over full. And even though I was full, I still would eat it so that I could have that dessert.
And who had the one about the people in Africa don't get anything to eat, so you better eat your
Oh, Ethiopia.
or wherever it was.
Yeah, the kids are starving in Ethiopia.
Yes. So you better eat yours. And afterwards I used to think, what's that got to do?
Who's that? Where are they?
We didn't
No,
have-
that's where 40-hour famine and all that sort of stuff used to be on TV.
yeah.
Mm.
But we
See it all the
as
time.
kids, we probably don't even know where it is, let alone anything else.
Yeah.
And this is where we get well, I'm not going to say indoctrinated, but this is where we, you know, we experience all these things and we start to believe them. Believe those things because that's how it's every day something's like that is said to you. You're just going to go, well, that's, you know, I believe that now. So that's where you can sort of you find your beliefs will start to change. And I'm sure over the years, you know that the beliefs you had 20 years ago are not what they are now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they slowly change automatically. You don't actually have to, you know, go and search and do a lot of work to do that.
I find the more that I have learnt and changed and grown, that my mother has actually been on a very similar path, and she's kind of walking with me rather than, you know, it used to be I felt like I was dragging the family behind me. They're like, come on, you know, come this way kind of thing. And I had to let all that go. And now I just follow my path, and they're some of them are making better choices because they see what I'm doing. And then I have a sister who's not, but I just let them go. I don't, you know, force anything down their throat. And I'm just like, this is what I'm doing. If you want to know more, let me know.
Yeah, that's all you can do.
Mm.
Yeah, can you lead a horse to water, as they say, but you can't make it. Yeah, lots of sayings out there. And
I use that one a lot.
they start to make sense when you do it.
Yes, you see it from a whole different level. Like even when I listen to Eckhart and I re-listen to it, because there's this one, I've got this one stick in my car, and every time I've done something, which is, you know, a fast or whatever, I'm listening to it, I'm hearing it with new ears.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, wow, it's cool. I like it.
Good.
Chipping away.
All right.
All right. Yeah, I need to head off.
So
Yes.
enjoy your week, and I'll let you know when I've put the things up. I'm actually heading away for 2 or 3 days, and I'm glad it's this week, not next week, because I'll be around next week when you're fasting. And I'll get all that sorted. And any questions, just pop them in the messenger chat or message me direct. Doesn't matter. I pick everything up eventually. I did have a hissy fit this morning though, when my phone, all it did was show me 2 icons on the whole screen, and I'm going, how do I get rid of that? Anyway, I figured it out.
It did restart?
Yeah, but it couldn't restart, you see.
Yeah.
I learned how to restart, but when it restarted, it came back the same. So yeah, anyway, it's all right. I figured it out in the end.
That's good. Good on you. And just want to acknowledge, Sandy, what you're doing with your fast at the moment is, it's amazing to see, and it's good to see it because it shows me the potential out where I can get to eventually. I'm not going to wait 30 years. But I'm on the fast track because I'm working with you, and you're paving that path for me. So thank you.
Right. Thank you for being here, because, you know, I just want to share how people can feel so much better. Get past their blocks and everything else, you know. Even though Lindy's, I mean, I had to get through an awful lot of blocks. I'm just going to stop sharing.
Stop recording.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
thank you, recording.